hype. Okay. It's not a reveal, guys. It's a review. As in, like, what I think of cards. Alright, so wait, can you guys see it? Oh, you guys can't see anything yet. Awkward. Okay, let's change it. And... Oh! Alright, we can see it now. Perfect. So, hello, guys! This is gonna go on YouTube, too. So, I kind of have to make this like a video. But, like... Okay, let's do a preface on this. There's gonna be like a rating system, okay? So when I show a card, I want you guys to, in chat, rate it out of 0 to 10 and see if you guys match what I think the card is. So when I show a card, like, for example, like Polluted Hoarder, for example, right? You guys can go 0 to 10, and then there's gonna be a bar here, and then see how close you are to my predictions, okay? Good. So let's do the start. Hello guys, and welcome to Amaz's pre-release scores on how good are the new cards in Whispers of the Old Gods up to today, March 22nd. We're gonna be doing one of these reviews every week, I guess, so that we have a lot of cards to talk about. And yeah, we're gonna rate them. There's gonna be a constructed score, and there's gonna be an arena score, because I mean, both environments kind of make the card different, right? And the scoring system is going to be based on Amaz's scoring scale. I mean, the ASS is the short form, if you wanna refer to that. And it's very simple, right? We rate a card based on 0 to 10. 0 being Failfish, and then we got What Face, Bible Thump, Swift Rage, Kappa's obviously 5, and then we got Seems Good, PogChamp, Craigasm, and then that's a card, yeah? So we'll see what cards. And of course, once again, scores are based on the cards and info we know so far. For example, if there's a card that is a 4 mana 1/1 that's really bad, it's obviously a 0. But then if there's a card that says, if you have a 4 mana 1/1 win the game, then it becomes good, right? So you don't know yet. It's based on what we know. Alright, good. So the first card, guys, we have is the Giant Sandworm. It's a hunter card. It's an 8 mana 8/8 beast. Epic quality. Whenever an attack by this minion kills another minion, it can attack again, which theoretically means that it can actually clear the whole board. You can have some weird synergies with it. You know, for example, you can play what's that called? Bistro Wrath. Clear all your opponent's minions and then go face for 10. That's pretty crazy. But as itself, constructed, I would give it a 2 out of 10. You're not gonna put this in constructed. I mean, hunters are not known for playing control, and 8 mana 8/8s are not good enough. It still needs a turn to get ready, right? It's kind of like the same thing as Full Reaper in that sense, where the effect is really cool, really unique, but for it to take 1 turn before it activates it's not a charge minion. So hunters, I predict, are not really gonna look forward to this. The only way, I guess, that this is gonna see playing constructed is it comes off of like Web Spinner, right? I mean, that's really the only realistic way it comes back, like in mid range, right? In arena, it is not bad. It's an 8 mana 8/8. You would draft it, like, you know, like the Fossilized Devil Sword is actually drafted way more often than you think, and it comes off Tomb Spider. So it does come in pretty handy. And I mean, drafting this is not bad in arena. There are enough bad cards that 8 mana 8/8s are kind of preferable. So that's why I would give this a 4. Yeah, once again, you could blow somebody out with like what's that called? Tundra Rhino in arena. If you have Tundra Rhino, it survives a turn, which is pretty likely. And then Giant Sandworm just goes ham on everything. You know, that's pretty possible. But like at the end of the day, I still view it as an 8 mana 8/8. It's not too crazy. Yeah, it's a cool card, I guess, but cool cards sometimes are not that crazy. All right, good. Next card we have is Stand Against Darkness. The 5 mana summon 5/1/1s, and very similar to Muster, but in no way is anything close to Muster, because Muster is 3 mana summon 3/1/1s, plus you get the weapon, which is basically another 1/1 that's charged, right? So it's 3 mana summon 4/1/1s. One of them has charge, and it can't be killed because it's a weapon, kind of, right? So in constructed, it's not really gonna see play. It's gonna be like a 3 out of 10. We don't know if there's gonna be like another Quartermaster-esque kind of card, But like I guess you can play this in Quartermaster and like, still be fine. We know that Paladins are losing like mini bots and muster and stuff like that, so maybe this is the replacement. But the fact that this card is so similar to a card we know called Lightwell, not Lightwell, sorry, Lightspawn. Lightwell, no, Lightspawn. It's very very similar to Lightspawn because every time you deal damage to it, it loses power, right? If you compare this 5 mana card to a 5 mana 5/5, every time you deal damage to a 5/5, it doesn't lose attack. But when you deal damage to this card, it loses attack because you remove it from the board, right? That's kind of why stuff like Dragon Link mechanic is actually bad. Because if you can deal 1 damage, it turns from a 4/5 into a 2/4 kind of, right? So it's kind of bad. In Arena, it's actually even worse, right? Just because of this. It's so easy to have access to damage in Arena because you trade a lot that like 5/1/1s is just horrendous, right? You would just draft the 5 mana 5/5 instead. And this being common quality is actually going to pop up quite a bit. So you do not want this drafted since the Arena is really, really bad. 2 out of 10. Alright, good. Next up we have the Priest. The Priest Legendary, which is 6 mana 5/5. You battlecry summon a 1/1 copy of each of your other minions. So much potential with this card, right? Where you can like, you know, play a Sylvanas, you can play this, get a 1/1 that steals something. You can play a 1/1 Izera that draws a dream card. You can silence the 1/1 that it's funny, right? Because the 1/1 copy is kind of like treated as like an Aldor Peacekeeper minion, right? So for example, if you play a Yeti, okay, like 4/5 Yeti, and then you play this and you get a 1/1 Yeti, you can silence that 1/1 Yeti and get a 4/5, right? So it's actually not like a 1/1 that's like just a 1/1. You can silence it, for example. Unfortunately, in Constructed, this is terrible. Because not only do you need to build a deck around this, you also need the minion to stick, and you also need this to proc on 2 or more minions for it to be worth it. Here's why. Because if you have no board, obviously this is just a 6 mana 5/5, very bad. If you have no board and you're 10 mana, you have to play something and then play this to get a 1/1. It's a 6 mana 5/5 that summons a 1/1. Where have we seen this before? Oh yeah, Silverhand Knight, right? Silverhand Knight is a 5 mana 4/4 that summons a 2/2. Like, why would you not play that instead? And that's not a good card. Like a 6 mana 5/5 that summons a 1 is nowhere near anywhere as good. Plus the fact that if you want to copy your minion, don't we already have that? We already have Faceless Manipulator, right? So if there is some new card that's going to go like, oh my god, we can copy this, it goes crazy. You would do Faceless Manipulator anyways because it's just like 5 mana and it's more flexible. You can copy your opponent's minions. This one does not copy your opponent's minions as well. So realistically, the only way that this card is good is if it copies 2 or more of your own minions, right? Because like summoning a 1/1 copy of an effect is just so situational. It's like so situational. So in that case, aren't you just winning the game already, right? I don't know, like people overrated Vol'jin so much when it came out because it's like, oh my god, it's like super good trades, right? But at the end of the day, Vol'jin is kind of like the same as this card where it's like a combo card, right? Vol'jin paired with Holy Smite is a removal, but at the end of the day, you're not trading super crazy, right? You're still spending 2 cards to kill 1 card and buying 1 card, and like a lot of cards already do that. So like pretty bad. A lot of people are super overrating this. So yeah, in Arena, I guess it's fine. I mean, it's a 6 mana 5/5. That, you know, sometimes you get more value. A 6 mana 5/5 summons a 1 was fine. But like definitely not better than other legendaries that are out there. So yeah, that's fine, I guess. I mean, the fact that they released legendaries that aren't really playable, like you remember last set we had a lot of unplayable legendaries, like even in GVG, right? So like Flame Leviathan, we had Iron Juggernaut, we have Wilford Fizzlebang, you know, stuff like that. It's just like fine, whatever. Legendaries don't need to be playable, right? Anyways, yeah, pretty disappointed about this Priest card. Next up, we have Doom from Warlock. It's a 10 mana spell. We finally have another one. Well, we have Pyroblast and we have Mind Control, but we have Doom now. It's a Warlock card. you twisting nether the board, and you get some more card draw into it. So this is pretty cool. It's pretty much going to be only found in one archetype though, which is the Arena Warlock, I think, because like Warlocks don't really need more card draw, and they're really efficient at board clears anyways, right? You have Shadow Flame, which is like the most insane board clear, right? Molten Giant and Shadow Flame is, there's no class that actually comes remotely close to that. And but it's still playable. You still want to play this in Reno Lock, I think. I think Dragon Lock might actually play this, because like Dragon Lock you actually curve out quite well, right? And for a 10 mana destroy everything, draw cards is actually not bad. The fact that you actually give up tempo when you play this card is really bad, right? When you play this, your opponent is the first to respond. And that's kind of bad and constructed. Like for example, if you play this against Druid, they're just gonna repopulate the board again and then threaten lethal with combo, and you're still behind. So this isn't like, oh my god, this card I can beat Druids now. No, it's the same thing. You still can't really beat Druids. But in Arena, oh my god, you would pick this card every single time in Arena, right? Like board clears in Arena are so rare. The only board clear that's really realistic to play is like Equality Consecration, right? But if you play Doom in Arena, it's just like a steamroll. It's absolute just wreckage, because you can actually like force your opponent to play more stuff on the board when you like you play your stuff too, right? And card draw is very hard to come by in Arena. So this is like you just play this. You just play this in Arena, you just win. Very, very strong card. Pick it. Alright, and now we have the very cool cards, the forbidden cards. There's 3, and they are 0 mana cards that spend your mana, right? Remember my rant about 0 mana cards being really bad? These are fine because they actually cost mana, right? So 0 mana, Forbidden Flame, you spend your mana and you deal damage. So you can spend 5 mana, you deal 5 damage. I mean, it's reasonable, right? In Constructed, it's actually quite cool because you can combo with much more stuff than just the Forbidden Flame. For example, you have the Mana Worm, you have Flame Waker. It doesn't quite combo with Sorcerer's Apprentice because it just doesn't work. You can't have a discount in like, it just doesn't work, right? But like the fact that you can actually cast this or 0 when you're Flame Waker is pretty cool. And you know, it like a faster Tempo Mage deck might actually look into this. So I will give this a pretty high grade. It should be reasonable. So yeah, I mean, the fact that you can actually, it's very versatile as well. It's really nice, and it kills, what's it called? It kills 2 mana 3/2s, right? We don't know if 2 mana 3/2s are going to be popular, but if they are, then this card is just completely fine. One other thing that Tempo Mages struggle with is like big creatures like Ragnaros, right? When you play Tempo Mage, you see a Ragnaros, you go like, oh goddamn, I can't kill it, right? Because you don't run Polymorph. Polymorph is really bad in Tempo Mage. And Forbidden Flame, well, that's another clear, right? I mean, 8 mana deal 8 damage is not the most crazy, but at least you have like an option to deal with things now. In Arena, it's also fine, right? The flexibility it offers, it's always going to be good. There's so many 5 mana 5/5s in Arena that this is usually going to trade 1 for 1. Obviously, it doesn't kill your Ogres, it doesn't kill your Pit Fighters and whatnot, but like once again, the flexibility of this card is just really, really nice. 10 mana deal 10 sometimes. Sometimes you like, I guess you won't really 10 mana deal 10, right? You would do more of like an 8 mana deal 8 sometimes because Fossilized Devil Sword exists, like Kraken exists, for example. So like this is fine. Obviously a lot of people say that this cannot deal damage to the face, makes it really bad, but like, you know, there's a lot of exciting flexibility and stuff that this can go. So I think this is actually gonna be good. The next one in this set is the Priest card. I thought this was a Warlock card when I first saw this, but no, it's a Priest card. Forbidden Shaping. You spend all your mana, you summon a random minion that costs that much. So for example, you play this on turn 4, you get a random 4-drop. It's kind of like the new Recombobulator, right? Recombobulator is going to be rotated out of the set. And now it's a Priest-specific Recombobulator. And oh my god, remember the Recombobulator when we play Shadow Madness, right? Shadow Madness is Belcher, play Recombobulator, and then you can get anywhere between a Starving Buzzard, which is just face palm, into like an Earth Elemental, which is Craigasm, right? So like the fact that there's such a high RNG variant in mana costs from cards makes this kind of awkward and constructed. But I'm still gonna give this a very high graded constructed because how often are priests hero power in turn 2? Like way too often, right? If you put 2 of these cards in priest, you increase, not only do you increase the odds that you're gonna play a 2-drop in priest. When you draw a 2-drop in priest, you can play that, and you can do this like another time, right? I'm really, I know all these mana costs of cards and stuff like that because I play with Combobula. It's like, oh my god, which mana costs are the best, right? And you're looking at like 5 to 8, right? 5 to 8 is like the most perfect. 7 is really bad when you summon a minion because 7 is a lot of battle cries. So stuff like, you know, Ancient of War, which is a 5/5, Ancient of Lore, which is a 5/5. 7 is kind of like awkward, but like 8 is really good, right? You get your Ragnaroses, you get your well, no longer kill through odds, but 8 is just really, really good. And yeah, the fact that you can play this on 2 is really nice, and the fact that you can play it later is really good. You just need to like try and stay away from the danger zones, right? 5 is very dangerous because you get like really, really bad minions at 5. But you also get a really, really good minions at 5. 6 is also very nice because you have your Karen, Sylvanas, Emperor. You know, 6 is also very stable. But then you have Anima Golem as well. But the thing is, like, it's like a curving card, right? I mean, would you play a card that says 0 mana 0/0 that you play it, it gains +1/+1 for each mana you spend? So it's like a scaling. You can play it 1 mana 1/1. You can play it 2 mana 2/2. You can play it 5 mana 5/5. You would, right? And what better class to put this card in than Priest, where it does not curve well, right? So I'm actually pretty excited with this card. But then in Arena, oh my god, you play this every single time in Arena. You would play 30 of these cards in Arena because it's so good. It's like so flexible. You will always play this because it's kind of, you kind of also compare to like Raven Idol, right? Raven Idol, you pay 1 mana and then you get a card that you want, and it was like so played, right? You get to choose what you want. It doesn't matter if you spend 1 more mana for that mana drop. It just doesn't matter, right? But in Arena, this card is just not balls. Like, it's just crazy, right? You always pick this in Arena. You see this, you go like, yup, pick this, and you just win some games, right? Very insane in Arena. Oh my god. Okay. The last card in the Forbidden series is the Forbidden Healing. You spend all your mana, you heal for double the mana you spend. So for example, you can, you know, you do not cast this for 0, right? You cast this for 1, you heal for 2. Cast this for 5, you heal for 10. Cast this for 10, you heal for 20. Wow. I mean, like, for at first glance, healing is like really bad, right? But the fact that you can actually spend 10 and heal for 20 is pretty nuts. So in Constructed, I would actually rate it pretty high because like people underestimate this card. In matchups that it doesn't matter, you can heal a minion, and like it's a loss of a card. Sure, it's not the best one, but like what's happening in Constructed right now? We have face hunters. Well, not face hunters. With face shamans. Face shamans are more likely, and then we also have the freeze mage. If you have even one of these against a face shaman or a freeze mage, you're fine. Like, you're totally fine. And that's what paladins struggle with, right? When you play against a freeze mage and you're paladin, you go like, I guess we lose, right? But the fact that you can heal for 20 for 10 mana is really, really insane. I don't think this is a 2 of. I think you would just play one of these in paladin. But like the potential for this card to be good is really high, right? It's just really, really high. That you can actually beat like matchups that you're not supposed to beat now. It's kind of like a Lotheb too. Does that make sense? Because Lotheb is rotating out of standard, which means that Freeze Mage is going to be so insane. Like, Freeze Mage is going to be one of the best decks in standard. We don't know about the nerfs yet, right? But like, this card is kind of Paladin's answer to Freeze Mages. And once again, if you play Divine Favor, you can actually cast this for nothing, right? You can actually you just cycle this, not really cycle this. You can't play it the same turn as Divine Favor because it still spends all your mana. But then you can just like lose this, right? For example, like turn 4, you play some stuff. You just play Forbidden Healing, lose it, and then Divine Favor. You just can kind of like get it back. So yeah, the potential of this card to be good is pretty high. In Arena, it's pretty trash. You don't want healing in Arena, right? Just no. 1 out of 10. Not good in Arena. That's for sure. Okay. What else do we have? We have more. That's it for the class cards, I believe. Let's do the Polluted Hoarder. There's the Cthulhu cards I'll review at the end. But Polluted Hoarder, a 4 mana 4/2. Death Rattle draws a card. I mean, it's pretty standard. Nothing too exciting. In Constructed, it's not too exciting either. Control decks that want to draw cards and want to go to the late game are going to play the Gnomish Inventor instead. And Gnomish Inventor was played in Constructed in the Patron deck, right? Remember, Patrons would play 2 Inventors because they had just Deathbite on turn 4. They wanted more cycle. Yeah, it was played for a while. But the fact that Polluted Hoarder is more of a Death Rattle draw cards at 4 mana, it's like a little bit weak. The theme of this card is kind of more of an aggressive game style, right? When you play this, you want to deal 4 damage before it dies, before your opponent clears it, and then it draws your card, whereby giving you more fuel so that you get more engine, you get to play more aggressive cards. But like control decks don't really want this. They want the card immediately. Gnomish Inventor is better. In Arena, it's fine. I mean, it's a card, right? You wouldn't not play this. A 4 mana 4/2. It's kind of like playing a 3 mana card and drawing a card. So like in Arena, it's perfectly fine. You would pick these. It's common. Like you're gonna have enough bad choices that you're gonna be playing this in Arena, so that's fine. Yeah, the fact that it's 2 health is also really bad in Constructed, right? It just dies. You would not want to play 4 mana draw a card, and there's like Keeper of the Groves. There's like your Arcane Blast kind of ish mechanics. It's just like not good enough in Constructed. Next, we have the Infested Tauren. I didn't know why StarCraft is in the universe now. Reminds me of Infested Terran. It's a 4 mana 2/3 with Taunt. Death Rattle summon a 2/2 slime. It's like a Belcher, but the slime does not have Taunt. The slime does not have Taunt, which is like really the deal breaker. Is really the deal breaker. You are not going to see this in Constructed. Just not good, because it's like you compare it to Harvest Golem, right? Harvest Golem is a 3 mana 2/3 that summons a 2/1. It doesn't have Taunt, but like you pay one less mana for effectively the same freaking thing, right? Another comparison to this card is like Ancient Mage, right? Not because of the effect. Ancient Mage is a 2/5. This is effectively a 2/5. It's not a 4/5 because it's 2 attack, right? 2 attack, 2/3. That when it dies, it still becomes 2 attack. So a lot of people are saying this a 4/5. It's not really a 4/5. And the fact that the slime does not have Taunt is just really bad. So no. In Arena, it's just as bad. You don't really want to pick this. It's once again, it's a 2/5. 2/5s are really bad in Arena. You do not want to play your Ancient Mage or your Wii Spell Stopper, or your even the what's it called, the Nullifier, the Arcane Nullifier is not played. Like it's not desirable because the attack is just too low. So no, this is not gonna be played too much. Next up, we have the Corrupted Healbot. Man, we're gonna miss Healbot, guys. Bible Thump. It's a 5 mana 6/6, a very huge vanilla creature, and it restores some health to your enemy hero, right? The only synergy you see with the Death Rattle that will not be bad is Arcanine Soul Priest, obviously. But Zombie Chow is going to be rotated out of standard, so Arcanine Soul Priest, Zombie Chow is not going to be a thing. So the power of Arcanine with the Corrupted Healbot is actually scaled down a bit. When you play a 5 mana 6/6, you're pretty happy, right? But the fact that it restores 8 health to the enemy hero means that you have to connect phase for 2 times for it to be like remotely good. Otherwise, you're going with the route of trading, right? You want to trade more. So in Constructed, we already have Pit Fighter, and Pit Fighter's not played. And there are more desirable 5-drops than this. And the fact that it restores 8 health to the enemy hero is actually pretty big, right? Just, how do you say it? Like, health is so health is so important in constructed because like you have your druids to combo, you have like cards you want to execute your opponent at a point, right? That's why like druid is such a strong class because effectively your opponent starts at 16 health, and restoring health to your enemy hero means that it goes like further along when it should be. Like even face hunter wants health because the more health the face hunter gets, the more turns they get because you're taking longer to kill them. So Corrupted Healbot is definitely not up there. And you're actually just paying you're adding this text for an extra attack point, right? You have Pit Fighter already. So in Constructed it's actually just not that good. You would play your other stuff instead. It is interesting to note that this kills Druid the Claw, but you're not really gonna play this outside of that. Just yeah, not good enough. In arena, it's actually pretty good though. Like it's a minion that trades. You usually fight for board anyways, so definitely fine. And the fact that you have to force your opponent to kill this in order to get the health sometimes means that you can go face more. So it's not bad in arena. You would pick this. It's kind of like a pit fighter. Pit fighter is good in arena. Pit fighter is kind of like a 7 out of 10 too. So it's fine. But in constructed, I don't think there's just more valuable cards with more important effects with battle cries. That this card is not desirable. All right. Next card we have the Eater of Secrets. Oh gosh. Kazan Mystic is going to be rotated out of the set, so that's why we have Eater of Secrets. The battle cry destroy all enemy secrets. Gain +1/+1 for each, so it's kind of like a flare. For all classes, it's a neutral card, right? 4 mana 2/4. If you're playing against a non-secret class, it's going to be a 4 mana 2/4. But if you're playing a secret class, then there is potential to blow out your opponent. Like for example, Mysterious Challenger, right? Unfortunately, it just does not make the cut. It's going to be like a 1 out of 10 here. Why is that? Because Mad Scientist is going to be rotated out of the set, right? Unless they make another card like Mad Scientist, Mage is not going to be like we're at the point of the game where playing a 3 mana Mirror Entity is really bad, right? And this is kind of like your tech card against Freeze Mage, I guess, ish. So I mean, Reno Lock might play this. Like Reno decks might play this. But like when you play a 4 mana 2/4 against like non-secret classes, you're gonna feel like a silly goose, and you're not gonna be happy about that. And the fact that you can already play around secrets without using this card is already prevalent, right? What does it say? For example, like your opponent plays Mysterious Challenger, you can already like attack into it. They summon the 2/1, it buffs it, and you can play BGH. And BGH is like much more versatile than this card. BGH, you can kill much more stuff. Eater of Secrets, you can only kill a specific archetype. You can only kill a specific turn. And the fact that when your opponent plays Mysterious Challenger, you might not even have this in your hand is like kind of bad. So it's just overall a very, very bad card. If you play this, then God bless. Like the chances of this proccing is just so low. In arena, it's even worse, right? I mean, it's a little bit saved, I guess, a little bit more saved by the fact that people are gonna play their Avengers if they draft it. People are gonna play their Bear Traps if they draft it. But like 4 mana 2/4, man, you're just gonna feel very silly in those matchups that this does not happen. And in the spot of rare, like this is a rare card, right? There are so many good rare cards in arena. You're not gonna prioritize this ever. Yeah. This could actually would have been a 3/4. And even if this was a 3/4, like I don't think it would have been that good. So yeah, 2/4 is like definitely super, super understated. Alright, what's our next card? The next card we have is the Validated Doomsayer. The best card art of the set for sure. Oh my god, look at this guy. That guy is crazy. Best card art, unfortunately, does not mean playable at all. 0 out of 10. You're not gonna be playing this card ever. Just you can. So the requirement for playing this card is that your opponent has to have an empty board, right? Which happens fine 50% of the time. So in a sense, 50% of the time this is not playable. Right? Your opponent just hits it, and then what? It becomes like a salty dog, for example. Like no, that's just terrible. It can get Caballed, it can get Shadow Word Painted. When it grows to a 7, for some God blessed reason, your opponent's gonna BJH it, you're just gonna Udam on it. It's just gonna disappear. Alright? No, you're not gonna play this card unconstructed. It's just not gonna happen. Such a big difference from the Doomsayer, right? From the regular Doomsayer. The regular Doomsayer was really good. But this one, well, the end has come, and that also means his career is kind of done. In Arena, I mean, it's semi-pickable. Even if you play it to a Yeti, it's not that bad. So like, yeah, it's still like the risk versus reward is still not there, right? It's just not there. Although it's a funny thing to mention is that someone is going to try and outdoor peacekeeper this when you actually grow. So for example, it grows, it gives like a 7/7. They're gonna go like, oh, I'm gonna outdoor peacekeeper that, and then this is gonna grow to 7 again because it grows to 7 at the start of every turn, right? So some people are gonna facepalm a little bit there, which is kind of funny. But in Epic, you're not gonna see this card a lot in Arena. So yeah, there's more desirable Epic cards. This card is just not good. Not good. Okay. The legendary is Hogger. Hogger, Doom of Elowin. 7 mana 6/6. Whenever this minion takes damage, you summon a 2/2 No of Taunt. So kind of similar to the old Hogger, but this procs off of damage. So for example, if your opponent plays a Avenging Wrath, you can Craigasm, right? Not too exciting. We're gonna give this a 2 in constructed. You have to be. It just has to target a very specific deck, right? Like Flamewaker Mage, maybe, for it to be good. But the fact that if your opponent removes this, you don't get anything at all. That's just bad, right? That's just really bad. Like even if you play Trogzor, which is people thought that card was gonna be super playable, but it's not. And even if you, for example, clear Trogzor with a spell, you still get something out of that, right? When you clear Hogger with like an assassinate-ish kind of spell, you don't get anything. It's just terrible, and it's also understated. The No of Taunt is not that significant, to be honest. Like to be honest, you need to proc this 2 times for it to be good, right? Once again, you compare this card to Silverhand Knight, a 5 mana 4/4 that summons a 2/2 immediately with no drawback. Like this 7 mana is just too much to pay for this. In Arena, I guess it's fine. Like it's just a normal legendary, right? It's not gonna be like I draft this card, I win the game kind of thing. So yeah, there's better legendary cards like Ragnaros, like other stuff. It's definitely better in Priest though. In Priest, you can heal this back up, summon 2/2s nonstop, kind of. But in other classes, it's kind of like sus, like fine. Like if this red 7 mana 6/6 summon 2/2 No's of Taunt, Doctor Boom is better. I know Doctor Boom is kind of going away, right? But like Doctor Boom is still in Arena, so you would still play Doctor Boom over this card. So not too good. Not good in constructed at all. Good. All right. Now, that's all the standalone cards, and now we're gonna look at the Cthulhu cards. Cthulhu is going to be the new card in the set, which is the old god kind of theme, right? 10 mana 6/6, deal damage equal to this minion's attack, randomly split among all enemies. Now, you look at this, it's like, oh, it's not that good, right? But it's actually pretty good because you can actually get cultists to buff this up. So there's other cards that buff this up while it's in the deck, while it's in the hand, for example. So it's gonna grow bigger. So the fact that you want when you play a Cthulhu deck, you're gonna have support for it. You're not just gonna play this like by itself, and you want to grow it really big and then just slam it down and then windmill slam your opponent, right? It's also interesting to note that you also get this card for free when Whispers of the Old Gods drop, because it actually makes a lot of sense, right? When you open a pack and you open a cultist, you go like, oh my god, what's a Cthulhu? I don't even have a Cthulhu, right? So it's gonna feels bad, man, when you get that. So that's why Blizzard's giving us this for free, which makes a lot of sense. So in constructed, we don't know how good it is because it's a Cthulhu card, and there's no rating to it because the fact that when you play a Cthulhu card, you're obviously gonna include this, right? You're either gonna include this or you're not. So there's not really a rating to this. It just depends on how good Cthulhu decks are in general. And all Cthulhu cards are actually not available in Arena because Blizzard actually came out and said that they're not available in Arena, which makes sense too, right? Because it's so hard to draft Cthulhu that the other cards don't become excited. You're not excited to draft the cultist cards. Although I think it could have been fine because the cultist cards are actually above the curve. Like, actually like on par, right? So it would have been fine. But it's okay. I'd rather than not it be in Arena, to be honest. So all Cthulhu cards are not going to be in Arena. Good. We have the first Cthulhu card, which is the most standard one, Beckoner of Evil. So you can already tell that when you play Cthulhu, you can play some Beckoner of Evils at the early game. You can buff it up, and then when you drop it, you have a bigger Avenging Wrath, right? So once again, it's not applicable in Arena. This is actually one of the weaker Cthulhu cards. It's only a 5 out of 10 because it is a 2-mana 2/3, right? When you play a 2-mana card, it has to have an extra oomph, right? For example, like Knife Juggler, Huge Toad, and stuff like that. This huge oomph is only so. It does not affect the board in any way. So you are going to be playing from behind at the start. But how this is interesting is because it does buff your Cthulhu very early on, which will help our other cards that we're going to see in just a bit. So this is a staple. It's still important, but like it's not going to be too insane. It's not going to be like backbreaking or whatnot when you see it. Similar to like the Twilight Elder, right? The Twilight Elder is a little bit better because it's a 3-mana 3/4, right? Spire Tanks are still very good. Dark Cultists are still very good. So even if this has no text, it's still playable. And the fact that if your opponent doesn't remove this, it always gets buffed, makes a lot of sense. Like, it's actually quite reasonable. When you look at all the Cthulhu cards so far that buff it, it's always +2, right? So the best outcome for this card is to actually activate it twice because you want your Cthulhu's to be buffed in multiples of 2. So 6 is the starting, you want it to buff to 8, and then you want it to buff to 10. Because when your Cthulhu is a 10 attack, there's some extra cards that get more effects, right? So when you play this turn 3, it's very possible that you get 2 activations from it. So it's pretty good. The next one, or the third one, oh my, look at her arm. Jesus Christ, what happened to you? But yeah, this is the last one for now, of the previews that give your Cthulhu buffs, right? It's a 4-mana 4/2 Divine Shield with Battlecry. You give your Cthulhu +2/+2 once again. Now, this is the most playable one out of all the other cultist cards. Why? Because it has Divine Shield. The card that reminds me of this is actually Shredder, right? This actually feels like a Shredder to me, but it's a worse Shredder, obviously, because Divine Shield is nowhere near as much as 3 health, right? So you can kind of treat this as like a 4-mana 4/1 that when it dies, it summons a 4-mana 4/2. Does that make sense? Because the first part is a 4-mana 4/1. The Divine Shield is 1 health, right? Kind of. Sometimes it can be even crazier. That's like the worst case scenario, right? The best case scenario is when you play this against a warrior. Oh my god, when you play this against a warrior, it's so good. It's so disgustingly good. Because they might even have to War Axe this. And then you're playing a 4-mana 4/5 that they have to attack this, right? It's so crazy against some classes. And it's like only so against some classes like Mage. Then you just ping it off and whatnot, right? It's not that crazy. So this is like really good. Like the stat distribution, it's really nice. It's also statted very aggressively, whereas the Silver Moon Guardian was not statted aggressively. Like a 3-mana 3/3 Divine Shield, it's kind of like a Senjin, right? Where it's like 3/3 or like 3/4 or 3/5 and stuff like that, 3/6. But for this card to be like a 4/3 at worst and become like a 4/4 or 4/5 or 4/6 or 4/7 makes this card pretty good. Plus it has the Cthulhu synergy as well, which is interesting. Alright, and now we're going to explore 2 cards that Blizzard revealed that synergizes with Cthulhu being 10 attack. The Druid card, Claxi Amberweaver. So Cthulhu actually has like 2 thresholds, right? The first threshold is just 10 attack. And the second threshold, there is no threshold. It's just you grow it as much as you can so you get the Avenging Wrath, right? But 10 is the magic number because you get like an extra effect from it, right? You don't even have to draw it. You just need to like buff it 2 times. So basically this says when you play 2 cultists anytime during the game, this gains an extra effect. And for this to be a 410 when it comes down, it's just absolutely nuts. It's just so good. What the heck? It's a 410. Okay, fine. You don't have the effect. It's a 4 mana 4/5. It's a Yeti. It's perfectly fine. You would definitely play this in the Cthulhu deck, right? So good, so good, so good, so good. Normally when you play something like this with these stats, you have to pay much more mana for it. Like what? Ancient of War, right? Ancient of War is a 5/10 for 7. This is a 4 mana 4/10. Sure, sometimes you can't really play this out at turn 4. But oh my god, the times where you Beckon of Evil, and then play this, your opponent is just going to cry. Oh, let's play a second this. Oh, your opponent's gonna cry again, right? This card is just too crazy. Yeah, so good. And if somehow they do not print any more Argus, they don't print any more Shredders, so like you don't have a lot of good 4-drop options in Standard anymore, and you play Argus in Druid, this is just going to steamroll all your face decks, right? It's going to become a 5/11 taunt with Argus. Oh my god, that's just insane. So like very, very good. And the other 10 attack cultist that we have is from the Warrior, the Ancient Shield Bearer. 7 mana 6/6. If your Cthulhu has at least 10 attack, you gain 10 armor. 10 armor. Oh my god. A little bit worse than the Druid version, but still really good, right? 10 armor is so much. 10 armor is so much. Oh my god. And once again, we forgot to mention that Cthulhu decks are most likely going to play Brand Bronze Spirit, right? When you play Brand Bronze Spirit, you can double buff your Cthulhu, and you can also activate this double times, right? If you go back, look at that. If you double buff this, it's a 415. That's a Super Jiraxis. You buff this, you get 20 health. Oh my goodness. Like, what the hell? Brand is like gonna be corrupted, man. Brand is gonna be featured in every single Cthulhu deck. Plus, it's not a bad body by itself, right? It's a 6/6, which is like it trades really well with like your 5/5s. Like 6/6 is very, very, very good. Very good stat distribution. You think 5/5s are good, 6/6 are even better. Kills your Druid the Claws as well. And the fact that it's a 7 mana card means that it's almost always going to proc when you play on turn 7, right? The Druid one, for it to be played on turn 4, sometimes might proc, sometimes might not, because you might not get the cultist activations that early on. But this one is going to proc when you play it. So Super Shield Maiden, well, there you go. Super Shield Maiden is gonna come. Also, interestingly enough, you can see that this is a rare card, right? And the Druid card is also a rare. So that means that every class is going to get a 10 attack cultist, a Cthulhu cultist, that's also going to be rare. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Hunter one is. Going to see interesting what the Mage one is. The Hunter one might be just deal damage to the face, right? The Priest one might be just something just super combo-y, obviously. Priest cards have to be combo-y. It's going to be interesting to see what the other 10 attack cultists are. And that's it. That's it for the cards so far. Yeah. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think some of my cards were overrated or underrated. And we're going to see you next week for another set of new cards. And we'll see if those are exciting or not. I'm going to be here to give you the Amaz scoring scale and guide you through Whispers. So yeah, we'll see you guys next time. All right, and that's that. Good. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that? Let me just load the Hearthstone back again first. You guys were spamming and Tomb was not played for a long time. Like, what was that? What do you mean by that?